Good evening, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching, it is appreciated, so thank you. I made a video earlier this week about Keir Starmer threatening his MPs, saying get in line or I'm going to call a general election. And I made a video about why the King would be in his constitutional rights to refuse, and it's regarding a constitutional convention which governs the way the Royal Prerogative, is used. In case you don't know, the Royal Prerogative is a customary body of privilege that is afforded to the sovereign, making war, peace, recognising countries, unrecognising countries, dissolving parliament, sacking the Prime Minister. They are all royal powers and they are usually governed by constitutional convention. This is one such convention that I mentioned, which is the Lascelles Principles. If the existing parliament is valid, if it's vital, viable and capable of doing its job, the King can refuse. What that actually means is, if another Prime Minister can be drawn from the House of Commons, the King can refuse. I've also said, and I mentioned this earlier, I think the King should call an election because Labour's wrecking the economy, which is reason number 2. And number 3, if the monarch could rely on finding another Prime Minister to govern with a working majority in the Houses of Parliament. Now, I had some comments on that video, and online commentators on other channels basically say if Keir Starmer went to the monarch and actually said, listen, give me a general election, the King would give it to him because he would be essentially getting threatened by the Prime Minister to say, listen, call a general election or we're going to abolish the monarchy. Don't think that would work. And I don't think Keir Starmer would even be that. He is really dumb. I don't think he's that stupid. Alright? Couple of things. Well, I think 4 things in total. The first thing is look at personal popularity. Personal popularity of Keir Starmer is minus 45%. That's lower than Prince Andrew, the former Prince Andrew, and lower than Meghan Markle. If you look at the monarchy's net approval rating, this isn't about the incumbents, who we've all got problems with, King Charles III. It's not about him personally. The institution of the monarchy, even with the fallout after the Epstein, Mountbatten Windsor, Prince Andrew nonsense, is 62%. So, one's in the plus and one's in the negative. That's 1-0 to the monarchy. The second thing is, even Republicans who are of left of centre, who are in Parliament, like Clive Lewis and Zara Sultana, everyone's a fruit and nut cake. They hate Keir Starmer more than they hate the monarchy. They wouldn't back it, and you'd have to get a vote through Parliament to actually get a referendum on the monarchy to the people. People forget the monarchy is a fundamental and constitutional principle of this United Kingdom, and so to even go down the avenue of trying to get rid of the monarchy, you would have to have a binding vote in Parliament, and then you'd have to put it to the people in a referendum. Referendums don't come easy, as we know from the separatism referendum in Scotland and the EU referendum, alright? And Prime Ministers will only call referendums if they think they can win it. This is what David Cameron was successful with the Scottish referendum, and he failed with the Brexit referendum, alright? That's point number 3. And point number 4 is the writing's on the wall for Keir Starmer. Alright? He's out on his ear. The press have turned on him. People in his own party, like Clive Lewis, are already calling for his resignation. And he's got probably until the local elections next year to turn it around, if not sooner. A lot of people are saying he's going to be gone by Christmas, him and Rachel from Accounts. So those are the 4 reasons. Everyone's against him now. His own party, the press, the public, the legacy media, new media. He's got no friends. Alright, Starmer, no mates. That's point number 1. Point number 2, approval ratings. His is minus 45. The monarchy in principle is plus 62. Then you've got the point that he needs to get it through a vote in the Commons. Not likely, because even people who are sympathetic to the Republican argument hate Starmer more. And finally, the final point is you'd have to get it through a referendum to the people as well. And you're not going to hold a referendum unless you think you're going to win it. So those are the 4 reasons. Now, have respect for other opinions. Other opinions are valid. As I say, this isn't a critique on the monarchy. This isn't a critique on King Charles. I've done critique videos on King Charles. This isn't the point. The point is, Keir Starmer's gone. He only used the threat of an election as a baseless power move to try and maintain his position. No Prime Minister who has command of his party would have to threaten things like this. These are just my thoughts. As always, your mileage may vary. The key principle is the Parliament is viable, much to everybody's dismay, including mine. I want a general election as soon as possible. But if the King can draw another Prime Minister from the Commons that the majority of MPs support, think of your West Streeting, alright? Even the ginger girl from the north, she's on the news as well. If another Prime Minister can command the support, then they're not going to call it an election. As I say, comment, like and subscribe. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. Tell me if you think I'm right. As always, I appreciate your time. Have a good day.